able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas offers an affordable 2-year associate degree with a seamless path to a bachelor's. Located in downtown Minneapolis, students receive free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaching, tutoring, a Metro Transit pass, mentorship, and paid internships, all at Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College. Your journey to success starts here.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
There's a powerful story being shared at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Unchi Said So, a solo exhibition by Danielle Seawalker, brings forward Native stories shaped by collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold color and portraiture, this work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture while reflecting the idea that sovereignty begins at home. On view now through June 6th. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
With your AM 950 weather, I am Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 38, and Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 57. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagita, all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, just in a few minutes, we're going to have Arvina Martin, our political consultant here, and a great friend in Ho-Chunk out of Wisconsin, talking about Native national and local news. And then later on, Wendy's going to give an update on the Rigland Farms and talk about our sacred animals here. Hey, before we get Arvina on, I just want to remind everyone, we're right after Native Roots Radio here locally on AM 950, Native American Patriot Talk with Chase Iron Eyes. And just, it's unbelievable listening to him, and what a great person. And he's been, boots on the ground for so many things over the years. And I just want to give him a big shout out. Again, I want to bring up too the Bird Blind that is playing, that will be playing through New Native Theater. Check them out and support Native Theater. It's the biggest Native theater establishment in the United States. So we're really proud here in the Twin Cities to have them. Hey, I'm going to bring Arvina Martin on, and we're going to talk about some stuff. Arvina, Pinigigi, thank you so much for being on Native Roots Radio. Oh,
Pinigigi for having me on.
Hey, so how are you doing? How's your new place feeling? Are you feeling at home?
I,
It's it's a thing, right?
what was that?
It's a thing, when you live somewhere for a long time.
Yeah, actually, I think that the craziest thing is that rain sounds different on the roof.
Hmm.
And we've had a lot of rain since I moved. So getting used to that, especially at night when I'm falling asleep, is kind of strange, but and something I didn't anticipate. But I'm sweeping up cat hair constantly, so I feel pretty at home.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, in Wisconsin, it seems like it's been missing Minnesota, but Wisconsin's been getting hit with some weather here this last month.
Yeah, well, what 2 weeks ago we had 2 days, 3 days of severe weather, 2 days of it had including tornadoes, and I think I saw something that normal amounts of tornadic activity at this point of the year in Wisconsin is supposed to be like 5, and we've had over 80 so far this year
Wow.
already. So this is hopefully abnormal and not indicative of what is going to be happening long term, but I can't say I'm optimistic about that.
Well, good point. And I saw from friends of mine that live in Wisconsin some unbelievable hail going through windows and convertibles.
Oh yeah, I know that what Safe Light is just making bank here in Madison. People are still waiting to get someone out there to look at their windshields. There are people who, their windshields are shattered enough, their cars are old enough that their cars are being totaled. You know, it's
Wow.
it's it's a lot. And a lot of people and a lot of heavy damage.
Wow. Yeah. And I was really amazed, not that we want to get too deep into this, but how many sensors are on a windshield now when it comes to getting close to cars and things like that. And it's just totally bizarre. It's not like the old days where you could just go to the junkyard and get one. You have to really get a computer specialist to put your windshield on now.
Yeah, I mean, luckily my car is old, so I don't know that it has all of those things, but I'm very grateful for the fact that I have a garage and I've got a place to put my car when it is like that, because my car might be one of the ones that, had the windshield been broken, it could have been totaled and I would have been SOL, because eh, it's wild. So,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of people still dealing with stuff. People are still dealing with, getting somebody to take a look at their roofs, to take a look at their siding to see if there's been any damage that needs to be repaired. It's a lot.
Yeah, and it really doesn't take much for a new roof, and I know that from our own experience here from hail damage. It's pretty crazy. But hey, that's a segue, and talk a little bit about what's going on. And what's going on is every day there's something insane happening, and I just with the way this administration lies, I just don't know if things are set up, if they're real, or what's going on, or if this was a big thing because he wants, the Supreme Court told him to, or the courts told him to stop building that Trump ballroom, and help me out, Arvina. What's real and what's not?
I mean, and that's the thing, and that gets to me, because I am not somebody who is inclined to believe a conspiracy theory just out of hand. But, you know, it's hard to put something like this past the president and his administration. And I it I can't say either way whether if it was true, or if it is, as he likes to call them, a hoax. But I do think that this is where having media that is independent and able to look into these things. The fact that the incident happened at the correspondence dinner, maybe there's some reporters that were there that are thinking there is something hinky as well and want to investigate. But it all, I mean, I was not paying attention. Like I had gone to a musical event at the Overture Center here in Madison. So it wasn't until I got home and saw that something had happened that I was trying to figure out from myself. And it was not super easy to do. It was a chaotic scene, of course, but now it sounds like the alleged shooter did not get downstairs. He made it past some security, but was still a floor. I can't remember if it was above or below where the event was happening. If you looked at how folks were evacuated, I don't know how well like Secret Service is able to get folks, like extract the people they're supposed to extract, and not sure if any of the folks that they were supposed to extract were like resisting or saying no. It just, it's hard to take things at face value when things keep getting more absurd and the event looks absurd. I mean, that's not proof, but it definitely gives people food for their conspiracy theories. And and the amount of transparency that we get from this administration, we know is not going to help the situation at all. So,
well, and again, blaming the Democrats and their rhetoric towards violence is just almost humorous. If it wasn't so sad that they think this. It's the person that's leading this country supposedly is the person that says, crazy stuff all the time about killing people and all that, and pretended he didn't know who Melissa Hortman was, and that whole 60 Minutes thing. It was just totally bizarre. And again, we have to talk about these things. And do we want to? We'd rather talk about the great powwow at Madison and things like that than what's going on nationally, but it does affect us, and it has to do with a lot of our sovereignty and things like that. Hey, I'm here with Arvina Martin, and we got a lot more to talk about. This is Native Roots Radio, and she's our political consultant specialist. Oh,
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
There's a powerful story being shared at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Unchi Said So, a solo exhibition by Danielle Seawalker, brings forward Native stories shaped by collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold color and portraiture, this work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture while reflecting the idea that sovereignty begins at home. On view now through June 6th. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Agajengwa, Destiny Gowe Weni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas offers an affordable 2-year associate degree with a seamless path to a bachelor's. Located in downtown Minneapolis, students receive free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaching, tutoring, a Metro Transit pass, mentorship, and paid internships, all at Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College. Your journey to success starts here.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and this is Native Roots Radio, and we're with our friend and relative, Arvina Martin. First city council member, Native council member in Madison, Wisconsin. And I know you guys call it something else. I'm always coming from the Minnesota slant. I apologize. But one of the things, just wrapping up on what we were talking about last segment, for me, Arvina, the Secret Service did their job. They stopped them from a floor away. We don't need a ballroom, and we don't need to pay for it. And if the MAGA people really want the ballroom, have them pay for it, not whoever voted for Trump pay for it, or however that is. But I have something quick to report here, Arvina. One of the coolest things we talked about over the years was the changing of the Minnesota flag, and how you've gone through a process like this, and how you were really excited to see the Minnesota flag. Well, we have some racist cities now reverting back to the old one, with the Indian and the poem, the racist poem that went along with it. And I just want to bring that up to our listening audience across Turtle Island, that I am disgusted and still just in wonderment about people's priorities.
Yeah, priorities, and these folks' respect for humanity. We talked about this recently, and I know that I said that that image of us is more important to them than we as living, breathing people, neighbors, fellow citizens, family members in some cases, as human beings. And they think that the fact that they like this drawing and it means something is more important to the world at large than our dignity as human beings. And it's gross. It's sad, but it tells us so much about who these people are, and where their values are. And there are so many things that especially, policymakers could be doing right now to help their constituents during these times of uncertainty, and this things that can be done at every level, from the federal on down to local. There are things that policymakers can be doing to help their constituents survive and thrive in rising gas prices, rising grocery prices, jobs going under because of AI or whatever. Your constituents are real human beings that need support right now, because there are circumstances outside of their control that are harming them. And for you, your priority is to bring up an old-timey drawing for a flag, and that is going to be the hill that you're going to die on. Somebody like that shouldn't be in elected office. They should not be there to make policy for people. And we need to pay attention to people that are doing this, and not just vote only in presidential elections or in the midterms. We have to pay attention 100% to local races, ones that happen in Wisconsin. We have them every year, every spring. We need to be looking at who we are electing to our city councils, our county boards, our school boards, because those are the folks that have much more say on the things that affect our everyday lives. and for folks to be wasting their time and energy on something that does nothing to help anybody just because they like that drawing is absurd to me. And voters who are represented by these folks should vote them out. They should write letters to them or emails or call them saying this is stupid and does not help anybody, in addition to being racist, etc. But if you don't get the answer you want from them, now is the time to organize. Now is the time to bring this to the attention of other constituents, to your neighbors, and say, hey, this is messed up. This person's up for election next spring. What are we going to do about it? Maybe that is letting people know how crappy that elected person is. Maybe that's you running for office yourself. Maybe it's convincing somebody to run for office that is going to be better. But what we don't need to do is just sit back and let things happen and just sit there and be like, well, I guess that's how this is going to go now. Because that's not, these decisions aren't ones that are set in stone, and they can be changed, and they can be changed by having elected bodies of policymakers that care about their constituents, that care about, making sure that their constituents are able to not only survive but thrive, and are able to provide a good living, a good home, and healthy food for themselves, for their children, for their elders. Those are the things that we should be paying attention to, not a stupid racist drawing on an old racist flag.
Yeah, amen to that. I know the Democrats in the House and the Senate are trying to draft a bill that will combat that. But again, we only have one person in the Senate, and then we have a tie in the representatives. So I don't know how far that'll go, but it's just a ridiculous thing, and a ridiculous thing that we're even talking about this. We got Line 5 happening. We have the Boundary Waters here being attacked by the federal government, things that we've talked about, and we just cannot let this go, and we need to amplify this every day that we talk.
Absolutely. And I want to reiterate that people saying, it's just a flag, it doesn't hurt anyone. It does. There are multiple studies, first conducted by Dr. Stephanie Freiberg. I believe she was with the University of Arizona, but multiple studies that have shown that use of stereotypical images, even ones that are stereotypically positive, cause harm to Native youth. And it gives them lower self-esteem. And, funnily enough, those same studies show that it gives non-Native kids higher self-esteem. So they are putting their kids above ours. And instead of having, an image that is neutral and doesn't affect anybody, they are choosing to do one or use one or bring back one that they know is going to do harm. And it affects all Native youth who have to encounter it.
Well, and then I don't know if you heard this report, but the Washington team, and I think we did talk about this, the Washington team's bringing back the spear in their helmet to pay homage to the last racist name they had. So there we go again. 2 steps back to take 3 forward. I think we've been running into 2 steps back, maybe taking a half a step forward right now in this last, and it's been 10 years. I mean, you have a child that hasn't seen real politics in the last 10 years.
No, she hasn't. I mean, she was born right after Obama got elected. So, she kind of knows about him, and, I mean, she knows about him, but like, she didn't like fully experience, his presidency obviously the same way we did, because she was little. But it's wild to me that this is the, example that our elected leaders and other, content creators or other influencers or, tastemakers, whatever, are showing to our youth. And, I think that there are, I think that far more of us, do not like this example being set for our kids then are like, oh no, it's fine, whatever. We are talking about people that have like immense power, and they use it in ways that, again, aren't helping the people that they say they were going to help. Does Elon Musk get a whole heck of a lot? Does Jeff Bezos get a whole heck of a lot out of this in administration? Yes, absolutely. But your Gaga sure isn't, and your Choka sure isn't, and it's and again, the way they yield their power has been so cruel, and we don't need that. We don't need that cruelty in our names. We don't need that cruelty for our children to see and think is acceptable.
Exactly. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, and maybe next segment we can talk about mental health and powwows, and also what you can do in the community, and and whatever else you'd like to talk about, because it's draining, and I know there's a lot of positive things going on in the community, and there's ways that you can help specifically. So let's talk about that next segment. Arvina's shaking her head yes. Okay, yes, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
There's a powerful story being shared at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Unchi Said So, a solo exhibition by Danielle Seawalker, brings forward Native stories shaped by collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold color and portraiture, this work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture while reflecting the idea that sovereignty begins at home. On view now through June 6th. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas offers an affordable 2-year associate degree with a seamless path to a bachelor's. Located in downtown Minneapolis, students receive free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaching, tutoring, a Metro Transit pass, mentorship, and paid internships, all at Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College. Your journey to success starts here.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Agajengwa, Destiny Gowe Weni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I am Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 38, and Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 57. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot. We're going to have Wendy on next segment, and we have Arvina Martin. And Arvina, I threw a couple things out there for you. I'd really like to have you talk about what you'd like to talk about. And, you know, we talk about in the past about mental health, but also I want to, before I forget, because, you know, Choka here's got a good memory, but it's short. He wants you to let people know how you can help organizations and where to get a hold of you.
Yes, if you are an organization, a governmental unit, or a political party or candidate that wants to learn more about tribal sovereignty, about working with tribes and how to do it appropriately, learn a little bit about federal Indian law and why it doesn't meet up with our ideas of tribal sovereignty or our concepts of tribal sovereignty. And if you want to learn about engaging in Native communities, whether they are reservation-based or urban or, school-based, anything like that, learning how to do that in an authentic manner, or you want to learn anything about running for office, or learning how to to speak in a way that is like speaking at a legislative hearing, or speaking at a rally, or something like that, how to use your authentic voice and lead with your values, and be able to speak to groups of people about issues that are important to you, in a way that is not standard cookie cutter, but makes sense for you, so that you are able to provide the most the most authentic and the most that kind of testimony, the kind that is based in personal values and in truths, are the one that's the kind of testimony that moves public opinion, perhaps policymakers, etc. And I can help you figure out how to, or your group figure out how to develop that voice for yourself, so that you can feel confident saying your words, knowing that this is something that you have 100% created, not something that is you are repeating that someone else wrote for you. And I am here and available to do all kinds of trainings related to that, short ones, long ones, etc., groups, individuals. And you can find me. My name is Arvina Martin on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to talk to you about what kind of training you want, what you want to put together, and what you want to learn. So get a hold of me there.
Excellent. And I say this every time I've seen you in action, statewide, and very impressive. And we're really lucky to have you on Native Roots Radio talking about our truth and what's going on locally and nationally and statewide.
Yeah, I want non-native people to understand why that we as native people are not just considered another racial or ethnic group. We are not a special interest group. We are people that have a very, very special and specific relationship to the state, like the nation. And that, was all done by founding fathers and other assorted leaders that signed treaties with our nations, and therefore, our dual citizenship is acknowledged. And if you are going to work with us, you can't work with us the same way you would work with any other community, and you need to understand why that's important, because then you will be able to work better with tribes, and everybody will have so much better results from their work if people are working in an authentic way, in a way that is with actual and true respect for each other, and lots of non-native governmental workers, electeds, organizations, and such don't do that, and operate like they can, they reach out to, a neighborhood association or something, or a church group or something like that. It's absolutely not the same. And being able to understand the differences, and this doesn't mean that you have to understand everything about tribal law or tribal sovereignty or treaties or anything like that. You just have to listen, and know how to listen for understanding, not to listen for your chance to speak, but also to know that you don't know, to know enough that you don't know everything. It's kind of a convoluted way to put it, but folks, nobody expects folks to know everything about everything, and so getting you to the point where you know how to ask appropriate questions in an appropriate way is the goal, because you are going to find that with every tribe, even with every legislative body member, whether it's a legislator or a council member, they're all going to react differently, just the same as non-native governments, etc. So you have to know enough to know that you don't know, and know that it's okay to ask, and ask in a respectful way.
Yeah, perfect. And again, Arvina Martin on LinkedIn. Check it out, check her out, and reach out to her. We're blessed here on Native Roots Radio to have you on once a week and talk about things. So one of the things we haven't talked about in a while is kind of mental health and what you do. And I know I always think about the Golden Girls, but there was a powwow in Madison, and Wendy and I love Madison, and I've been there so many times. I'd probably live in Madison if I didn't live in New York and Minnesota. Really, I love Madison.
It's a great city. Does it have its own issues? Absolutely. But, by and large, this is a community that I'm proud to be a part of. And, I was very proud, and I remain very proud that I was able to serve this community, because it means a lot to me. And yeah, we had a powwow. Madison College had their annual student-run powwow last Saturday. It was a great, it was run really well. As per usual. Shout out to Nicole Soulier and all the other staff, and as well as students over at Madison College. and it's a traditional powwow. It, it's always been a powwow where I know I'm going to be able to reconnect with people who I haven't seen, whether they're relatives or friends or other community members. And, I have been going to this powwow since it first started. My mom was the student advisor over at what used to be MATC when the students first decided they wanted to have a powwow. So I remember, helping with all the setup and everything and folding programs or things like that in anticipation. And, it was fun. And I got to dance. I'm not the best dancer, but, I got to go out there and, share it with my daughter, with my family. I ran into a friend from growing up who brought her kids to this powwow for the first time and was telling her about when she went to a powwow with me when we were in 4th grade.
Oh, wow. Oh, no.
Arvina's frozen.
Arvina. You froze for a second. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. You froze for a second.
Oh, that's sorry. But yeah, and I want to say something too really quick about something that really jumped out to me. Our MC was Mark Denning, who is well known here in Wisconsin. He lives in Milwaukee, and he is Menominee, and is a well-known dancer as well as MC. And he was the MC for the powwow this year. And he did speak about mental health and about us, taking care of ourselves. But the thing that surprised me in the best way was that he brought up how he, as the MC, was not going to make, nor was he going to tolerate any kinds of misogyny, and whether it's misogynistic jokes or comments or anything. And that was, I felt as a Native woman very seen. We have too many of our male leaders, whether they are like on the political side or on the traditional or spiritual side, that have been, and they've been in the news. I mean, we just had Nathan Chasing Horse sentenced to, I believe, life in prison last week or today, maybe, I don't know, but recently.
Yesterday.
Yeah. And we, I think that, there's unfortunately there's a lot of Native men that talk about, protecting women and everything, but then they go off and they make these same kinds of jokes, or don't say anything when they hear these kinds of jokes, or worse, do actual physical damage to women that are close to them. And to have this be a big part of his opening to the day, I think made me feel good and made me feel safe in a way that I don't know that I realized I hadn't felt safe previously.
Wow.
So as a Native woman, I hope to see more of that. I don't want to see MCs making jokes about, their relative's sexual history. I don't want to see, or hear MCs making jokes about, she's walking by, her skirt's too short, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I believe the era is changing, but I do still see some, because I go to many powwows as I can. I do know and respect what you're saying, and things are changing, but very slowly. I know we have a woman, Deanna Thundercloud, who does the ring stuff now, and that's good to see. Have women, bring women in, and Arvina, I just want to say thank you so much for being on, and you really make our week, and you have really a lot of great information. Again, Arvina Martin at LinkedIn.
Thank you so much for having me, Hani Chakchawi.
We'll see you next week. Hey, up next, Wendy Pilot with our Sacred Animal portion.
Stay with us.
Oh, there she is. We'll be right back.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas offers an affordable 2-year associate degree with a seamless path to a bachelor's. Located in downtown Minneapolis, students receive free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaching, tutoring, a Metro Transit pass, mentorship, and paid internships, all at Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College. Your journey to success starts here.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Deminy from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Hey, I want to bring in my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years, and just great to have you on. I know a lot of people have been friending you on Facebook and listening to what the updates, especially of what you've gone through. And I can't believe it's over a week ago.
I know. I can't even. It feels, it just feels like it was so long ago. It really does. So we're talking about the Rigland Farm facility in Blue Mounds, Wisconsin, where over 2,000 beagles are housed for breeding and experiments, and we're trying to shut the place down. It has 311 violations, and we want to shut this place down and get all the dogs into good, loving homes. Last month in March, 30 dogs were rescued, 8 were confiscated back by the police. Yes. So there's 22 beagles out there who are living their best lives. So I'm really, really happy about that. But, the thing I was thinking about today, after our grandkids left, they kind of wore me out, but they're so fun, like seriously, so fun. But I was really just thinking about like the USDA, right? So Rigland Farms, like other licensed breeders that supply animals for research, they're required under the Animal Welfare Act, the AWA, to be inspected by the USDA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to really look at the standards of the USDA, because literally these dogs are suffering in these cages at Rigland, and I'm sure there's many other places in the United States, although I did read that Rigland is one of the largest in the United States. So there's thousands of dogs in there. But so the USDA, the law sets minimum standards, right? And that word really matters, minimum standard, because they're a baseline. We're not talking about best practices here. We're talking about minimum standards. And here's what those standards generally require for dogs like beagles at Rigland Farms. So housing and space. So the dogs must have enough room. This is it. This is all they need. They need enough room to stand, turn around, sit, and lie down. That's it. That's why these dogs are in 4x2 cages, okay? Because that's the minimum standard. So that's it. They don't require anything else. The cage size is based on the dog's length. So for many beagles, this often means relatively compact enclosures. And this is what we see at Rigland Farms. It's really very quite small. Yeah. So their primary enclosures should be indoor or outdoor. They should have indoor or outdoor runs, right? For these dogs, they must be structurally sound and kept in good repair. These dogs have no runs. They never leave their cage. They are in those 4x2 cages, and they do not have any runs for them to run around. Flooring can be solid or coated wire. It must not injure the dog's feet. So this is one of the violations that Rigland Farms has, is because they let that, that coated wire rust, right? So the dogs are on rusty cages. That's what they're standing on. This is what really got me: temperature and ventilation. Okay, listen to this. So in an indoor facility, this is the minimum standard. USDA minimum standard. Indoor facilities must generally stay between 45 degrees, okay, and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, at 45 degrees, that's what they're keeping these, because they want to save money. They don't want to heat these places. 45 degrees is cold day after day, night after night. 45 degrees is cold. The same 85 degrees. That's pretty miserable. Do you want to stay in 85 degrees 24/7?
No.
Okay, that's minimum standard. Minimum standard. Adequate ventilation is required to control odor, moisture, and airborne contaminants. I don't know anything about their ventilation, so I can't say anything about it. Dogs must be protected from extreme weather if housed outdoors. Okay, this is an indoor facility. These dogs, they're born at Rigland Farms. They never see the light of day. The only time they'll see the light of day is if they're moved to another laboratory to be researched on. Okay, food and water. Dogs must be fed at least once a day with nutritionally adequate food. Clean, potable water must be available continuously or at least twice a day, depending on the setup. Again, I don't know anything about their food or how often they're fed or watered or anything. I don't know. Sanitation. I've seen multiple videos of the inside of this place, and you could go online and see it yourself. Sanitation enclosures must be regularly cleaned and disinfected. Waste must be removed frequently to prevent disease and odor buildup. Pest control is required. Okay, these cages are kept up off the floor. The urine and feces drop through their cage grates where they're standing on, and there's piles and piles of feces. You could go online and see and this is most of their violations, right? They're not keeping this place clean. The place stinks. It's terrible. Imagine smelling that all day, and the ammonia smell, burning your eyes, smell. Dogs have a lot of olfactory cells, more than us, right? So their smells, especially beagles, right? Okay, exercise. Facility must have written exercise plan approved by the veterinarian. The dogs do not get exercise at Rigland Farms. Dogs should be given opportunities for regular exercise unless a vet determines it's not appropriate. Well, the vet there must have been determined that none of the dogs get exercise, because none of them do. And by the way, the vet who was taking care of all these dogs has had his license suspended.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Socialization and enrichment, right? Dogs must have opportunities for social interaction with other dogs. So they are kept a lot, and there's more dogs than one per cage. But it's such a stressful environment in there that the dogs go crazy. They pace. They spin. So they're showing those behaviors of neglect. Socialization is being neglected. let's see, the standard is fairly general. There is no detailed requirement for toys, outdoor time, or complex enrichment. So there's none. They have none. Okay, they say veterinary care. Yes, your dog should have the dog should have veterinary care. They should receive treatments for any illnesses or injury. The one other thing I want to talk about, I have a minute left, is all of the dogs taken out from Rigland Farms had Giardia. So this is a infection that they have. I want to just bring it up here. I have it on my thing. So it causes, Giardia, it's a microscopic parasite, right? It infects the small intestine of the dogs and humans too. It's very common in kennel environments, especially where many dogs are housed together. Okay. And it causes gas, bloating, diarrhea, abdominal discomfort, weight loss, right? Dehydration. This is what it does to the dogs. All 22 dogs that were taken out of there was positive for this parasite. So it's through feces and dirty conditions, right? The dogs are licking their paws or whatever. They're stepping on their feces, whatever. It spreads, and it spreads like wildfire. And it has to be treated with antibiotics. So these dogs are getting treated now, the dogs that are, out for, the 22 dogs that are saved.
For more information, give that website one more time.
I want everyone to go to savethedogs.io, and you can find out all the information you need to know and how to help if you're interested in it. Savethedogs.io, Rigland Farms. I'm not going to stop talking about it until the dogs are out.
Hey, locally, Native American Patriot with Chase Iron Eyes up next. This is Native Roots Radio. We'll see you tomorrow.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or